Hey there, Half-Life 2 recently turned 20 years old, so why is it that we still talk about it? Most games at release end up fading away. This may seem like a natural thing to happen, when really it's entirely avoidable. With the same one fix for every game, and most game studios are actively working to kill this fix, which is modding. This video will be about modding, how modding is defined, why it's so important, and then lastly, how game studios are actively trying to kill every single form of modding. Let's get into the history of modding. Modding as a term comes from to modify. Modifying existing things has been around for as long as time has been, even going back to a time before computers. You may add mods to your car in order to make it drive faster, make it louder, make it quieter, make the windows not see-through, so on and so forth. Modding is used to enhance the experience specifically to your liking, which is why it's such a powerful tool in gaming. Don't like how Minecraft looks usually? Mod it. You'd like automatic weapons in your Skyrim? Mod it. You'd rather have Half-Life be a multiplayer round-based team shooter? Mod it. Always remember that Counter-Strike was originally a mod for Half-Life. So what types of modding are there in gaming? It can be split up into 3.5 categories. Let's get into the most simple type of modding: reskins. Whether it's people making more HD textures for their favorite early 2000s game, making the zombies of Left 4 Dead 2 look like Zoidberg, or replacing the female companion with their favorite anime character. Reskinning is the act of not modifying the game's mechanics in any way, instead just replacing a texture or model, meaning this also works for multiplayer games. Well, at least used to, as it was entirely client-side. Client-side means that you can install a mod without affecting others, allowing for personal customization. It's basically the same as changing graphics settings. The other type is server-side mods. Server-side mods require changes to the server, affecting all players connected to it. There are also semi-client-side mods, where the server and everyone else does not need the mod, but everyone else that does have it also sees the same changes. Sticking with Minecraft, there are mods that allow you to have custom capes that everyone else with a cape mod also sees. Optifine, for example. Reskin mods is people making their favorite game look better, which is a very subjective thing.
And then, oh fuck.
Not sure about you, but having an anime character run around the streets of Los Santos is not my cup of tea. But obviously I'm not judging. You do you. Because as is the beauty with mods, and especially reskins, they are like a huge box of toys out of which you pick whatever you want and leave whatever you don't want inside. The second type of modding is additions. These are a bit more advanced and require some coding, meaning they're server-side. The easiest example for addition mods being Garry's Mod, a game so moddable that it has mod in its title, which is actually because it started out as a mod for Half-Life 2. The game works with no mods, and you can do quite a bunch of things completely ignoring them. But really, no person that has over 50 minutes of playtime in that game has gone without downloading one. You can download extra weapons, character models, maps, scripts, shaders, whatever you want. Another good example is Stardew Valley. While reskin mods for that game also exist and are very popular, the main form of mods for it are addition mods, adding new crops, characters or new areas. And because I don't want to create a new category just for the following, even though it can be argued I should, I will include multiplayer conversion mods into this, with which I specifically mean mods that allow you to play a single player game in multiplayer, like the one for Subnautica for example, or Fallout 4. Games originally designed to only be played in single player. Addition mods pretty much encompass any mod, but it's fair to classify this next category as its own thing: expansion mods. Expansion mods are mods that add entirely new campaigns made up out of all the previously mentioned mod types. These types of mods mostly release for single player or co-op games, though some also exist for multiplayer. TF2 and its Team Fortress 2 Classic mod or GTA RP for GTA 5 are good examples. A game series known for its many expansion mods are the Fallout games. The recently released Fallout London is a full conversion mod of Fallout 4 that adds an entirely new map, new story, new factions, new enemies, new characters, new everything. This could easily stand as its own game. This type of mod is also the main form of mod that exists for Half-Life 1 and 2. While there are also simple reskin and addition mods for those games, when people refer to Half-Life mods, they're generally referring to entirely new campaigns that take place in the world of Half-Life. Expansion mods are quite challenging to create, as it involves knowing basically every aspect of making a game, depending on how detailed you want to make your custom expansion. Half-Life 2 recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, which goes to show what kind of feats modding manages, keeping Half-Life 1 and 2 alive for over 20 years. Longer than most of you watching have been alive. Yes, I'm looking at you, Anthony, 17 years old, living in the USA, California, Los Angeles. I know this didn't affect 99.99% of you, but imagine the look on Anthony's face right now. One final modding type to mention is mostly just a type of reskin, but I'm gonna give it its own extra category, that being overhaul mods. These mods are most often meant to update games to modern standards. You will find mods like these for any older game pretty much, for example the Batman Arkham games. For the most part, these consist of bug fixes. Performance improvements are also often part of overhauls. Often these include texture updates as well. Before AI, we actually had people create HD textures and normal maps themselves. Art is dying, but that's for another video. These mods are generally to be the most respected in my opinion, as this isn't people having fun creating something most of the time. It's just hard work updating a game and doing the most boring and tedious part of game development: bug fixing. Another thing to mention are utility mods and stuff like mod loaders, which act as a base to make other mods work. Any moddable game will usually include one of these, though the most popular and widely used one is Steam, which includes its workshop that is supported by a ton of games, and also by far the most easy to use mod browser there is. It's unmatched. So these are all the types of modding. Let's get into today's game market and why game studios are killing all these types of mods. Let's start with reskins, which is pretty much the easiest answer. It all leads back to paid cosmetics. The first example of which would be the Horse Armor Pack for Oblivion for $2. Truly the origin of all evil. These days you have Counter-Strike 2, Fortnite or just every AAA game. The thing that used to be mods are now paid addition to games. Fortnite has added sneakers in the last update. Paid digital branded shoes to add to your paid digital skin in your free game marketed to children. Great! The list of games that include paid cosmetics is too long to name. The only positive side to this is that every player will see your skin, which could be achieved with semi-client-side mods like the capes for Minecraft mentioned previously. But now you get the added benefit of nobody having to install anything for the small price of it having a price, and involving gambling in the case of Counter-Strike. Yippee! Start 'em young, I say. Oh my gosh! Another example is Minecraft, the world's most popular game. Minecraft Java Edition remains very mod-friendly, Java Edition being the originally released one. The Bedrock Edition, however, which is also the only existing version for consoles and phones, is fully in on selling cosmetics for money, alongside other things. This is also the version that is majorly advertised to kids, by the way. And look, it's even simply called Minecraft instead of Minecraft Bedrock Edition, because this is the version Microsoft wants you to play, the one where you spend more money. This is why it's rare to be able to mod multiplayer games these days. Installing a Counter-Strike skin used to be as easy as dragging a file into a folder. Of course, if this was possible with Counter-Strike 2, nobody would be buying skins. Thus this has been disabled. If your game files don't remain untouched, you can't join online games. Same goes for pretty much any multiplayer game. All this under the guise of avoiding cheaters. Which is of course also true. People could reskin player models to be one solid glowing color and even glow through walls. And people definitely used to. And look, I'm not saying Counter-Strike, Overwatch or any other competitive shooter should begin allowing mods in all their modes. But it would be nice if it was possible to mod the game at all and still play online. TF2 is a great example for this. While that game does also feature gambling for cosmetics with real money, it remains perhaps the most mod-friendly multiplayer shooter to date, as there is a server tag that either enables or disables players' mods, depending on what the host wants. This way you can play with mods on certain community servers. And the people who want to ensure that nobody's potentially using mods to cheat, even if it isn't as simple as that, can ensure that by playing official Valve servers. This is how it should be handled. So while there would be ways to find a middle ground, this isn't in Valve's or Epic Games or any other game company's interest, for the reasons previously mentioned. Even outside of this, more and more games are released that require a constant internet connection, even when you are only planning on playing by yourself. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was like this on release, because they planned on selling cosmetics. Even now there is close to no way to mod this game, extending mostly to reskins, with even those being limited. There are a total of 11 mods for it on Nexus Mods, part of the reason being that the game sucks though. All of this is very anti-user, but it's become the norm. Nobody cares anymore. So to conclude why reskin mods are being killed, money! Addition mods oftentimes involve the last example, adding new skins and stuff. Though a more popular example of this form of modding being killed is the Fallout 4 Creation Club, which added minor new content to Fallout 4 for the most part. Sometimes it was as simple as new skins for pieces of armor in that game, sometimes it actually added small questlines, but in all cases, it was paid. You are paying for something that would have previously been downloadable for free. Now of course, this does at least partly support mod creators and makes installing mods a tiny bit easier, which is what Bethesda claimed was the reason for the Creation Club. Is downloading a mod manager that much harder though? No. Nothing a 2-minute tutorial couldn't help you with entirely for free. The Sims games are another perfect example. Sims 4 is free. If you want to buy all its expansions though, that will be... Oh! Expansions in the case of Sims 4 add a bit of new gameplay and more clothing and furniture. Most of the game's additions should have been included on release anyways, but outside of that, all this content used to be mods. While Sims 4 can still be modded, Sims 4 mods usually just extend to new clothing and furniture. There are gameplay mods, quite a few, but none of them are able to compete with the scale of Sims 4 expansions, which is by design. EA doesn't want modders to be able to modify the game that deeply. And to be fair, The Sims and also Fallout do have a modding community, and they aren't fully anti-modding just yet. Mods can easily be installed. That being said, if Bethesda and EA had a button to fully ban mods, oh boy, you best bet they would press it. Conclusion as to why this type of modding is dying? Money! Expansion mods are my personal favorite. I have made my entire channel focus on these. mostly talking about Half-Life. Expansion mods continue to survive in a lot of games, including Fallout, Stardew Valley, and a ton of others. In most cases, game studios are not stopping expansion mods, which doesn't mean it doesn't happen. The Legend of Zelda: The Missing Link, a mod for Ocarina of Time that was set between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. People were loving this mod. Nintendo, perhaps the most anti-mod game company to exist, shut this mod down with a cease and desist. Rockstar Games, creators of GTA and Red Dead Redemption among others, also once shut down a mod porting Liberty City of GTA 4 to GTA 5, though these days similar mods exist and have not yet been taken down. While I truly can't explain Nintendo's super anti-mod stance, which goes as far as DMCAing mods that include Nintendo content for other games that aren't made for profit, I do know why Rockstar Games did it. Rockstar Games themselves were planning on releasing a GTA 5 DLC that would have included Liberty City, thus this would have hurt sales. Activision is another good example. They have taken down many Call of Duty mods in the past, some of them as harmless as a community server project for the old games. Games of which the official servers are riddled with hackers and yet they're still being sold for $60. Other times it's mods like H2M, a multiplayer mod built for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered on PC. The mod aimed to allow you to play old Modern Warfare 2 maps with new graphics, which fits what I'd call an expansion mod. This mod received a cease and desist one day before they planned to release. So far the following remains a rumor, but I don't believe it to be unlikely, which is that apparently Activision was scared of the release of this mod impacting sales of Black Ops 6. It can be argued if it really would, but it doesn't really matter, since there is no world where Activision would consider risking even a singular dollar of profit loss. So once more, what is the reason this type of mod is being killed by game studios? Money! In terms of overhaul mods, i.e. updating the game to a more modern standard, game studios may actually be in support of these for the most part, especially if it's old games that wouldn't work without patching anymore, as that means more sales without them having to update their games themselves. Which doesn't stop them from attempting to monetize this type of mod though. Have you guys heard of The Last of Us? The masterclass of re-releasing the same game and calling it remastered? Thus far we've had The Last of Us Remastered, and The Last of Us Part 1, and The Last of Us Part 2, and The Last of Us Part 2 Remake. The Last of Us Remastered released 1 year after the original game. What kind of technological innovation was even supposed to happen between those two releases? Stuff like this would have been a mod previously. But Naughty Dog realized that The Last of Us being PlayStation exclusive for the longest time made for a cash cow they couldn't pass on. Can't wait for The Last of Us Part 1 Remastered in 2 years. Important reminder, implementing modding to consoles is no problem at all to Sony, Microsoft or Nintendo. They just choose not to, which is perhaps the most solid proof we have of game companies wanting to suppress modding. So while overhaul mods are also surviving in this economy currently, there is an important point to be made about content here. So let's conclude. Why are overhaul mods, usually, not being killed by game studios? Money! Why are mods gatekept from consoles and instead games just get re-released? Money! While I would not say that modding is a dying art form just yet, and honest, well-meaning game studios do still exist, it is clear that in a lot of cases, modding is being suppressed in the name of profit. Mods are what keep games alive. I've dedicated my whole channel to my love for mods. All main Half-Life games last for a total of maybe 30 to 40 hours, but because Valve went out of their way and made the modding tools for these games so accessible, you can easily have infinite playtime. Valve was ahead of its time with appreciation for mods, buying games like Counter-Strike and Left 4 Dead, which both started out as mods. Left 4 Dead is another great example for expansion mods. There are thousands of custom campaigns you can easily install with one click from the Steam Workshop. Perhaps Valve's greatest creation, making for infinite content in that game. A pool of content that will only continue to expand as long as there is one person left with an interest in making levels for it. With the Half-Life 2 20-year anniversary update, they've also added a workshop to that game, making modding even more accessible for it. To give you an example of what missing modding means for a game, one of my favorite games ever is Raft, a game with very little mod support. Mods do certainly exist, but it was never made accessible by the creators. Raft used to be everywhere, billions of views across the platform. But after its final update release, the game very quickly reached its death, which I blame on the infinite ocean lacking island variability, making the game become really stale very quickly. It's still a fun playthrough, but I truly believe that better mod support would have kept this game as relevant as Minecraft is today, with no effort by the developers other than implementing a workshop system, which certainly isn't super easy, but the payoff being a game that stays alive forever, I'd call that worth it. I have a full 1-hour video about Raft on my channel if you want to check it out. It's perhaps the best example out there as to why mods save games and missing mods can kill games. Which is why I believe that even if game developers think completely egotistically and capital-drivenly, they should still consider implementing mod support, as you can make your game and its community last forever instead of just for a few years or even only months. All games that are 10 years or older that still have a considerably sized community are either PvP multiplayer, MMOs, or have mod support. If all three are untrue for your game will be forgotten in 99.999% of cases. A game with mods can never die, and I firmly believe that the death of modding would be the death of gaming, turning every game into a disposable product. Modding is to games what right to repair is to electronics. Games without modding become closed systems. Developers monetize and control the facet of how, when, and what you can play. Older games would be left to fade away, maximizing profit by keeping anything that resembles the thing that used to be called modding behind a paywall, pushing players from one title to another without the depth or community connection that mods allow for. The reason I made this video is to appreciate modding while we still have it. It will certainly last forever in certain games, but will it be as prevalent as it is today in say 10 to 20 years? I unfortunately doubt it, unless we fight for it. Mention in your positive reviews that you like a game having mod support, or simply spread the message of how important modding is. Modding is not just extra content, it's a way of pushing back against the idea that games are disposable. Modding ensures that gaming is sustainable, customizable, and community driven. If we lose that, we're not just losing mods, we're losing the creativity of gaming, the thing that made us fall in love with it in the first place. Losing modding would mean opting into whatever capital-driven garbage the few remaining game studios and the monopoly of the gaming market produce, ending in a world in which your enjoyment of games only goes as far as you're willing to pay for. So thank you to all the modders out there for your hard work, and thank you to the game companies and developers who remain mod-friendly. If by any chance any of you watching are currently developing a game, consider adding mod support, or at least don't make modding impossible by having it be online only or whatever. Your fans will love it and it will be good for the longevity of your game. Also, consider supporting your favorite modders. Most of them have donation links. Give them $1 or $2. You may just save gaming. Make sure to like and subscribe. Otherwise, thank you for watching.